I'm Joel Dillahunty. This is part three of our interview with Bryan and Kaylee Marler about his attempted suicide in 2018. Bryan is the pastor of Bethel Church in Noblesville, Indiana, and he has graciously shared his story with us with the hopes that it helps others.
How do you cope with it?
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody has that. I know everybody has that in interior voice. Everybody does. You know that voice you converse with and make decisions with and things like that. So I mean, that voice does not go away. It quiets down. We named him. His name is Craig, and so I read a thing one time that said if you, it was people with depression saying, I named my depression, and that way, when I'm talking with my significant other about it, I don't have to say I'm having a really depressive day today. I can say Craig's back and he's being real mean or something like that, and so that actually kind of has helped because it makes it a lighthearted thing, in a way, where at the same time we can address it head on. Coping with it is important, and it's not something I always do good at. I have to get plenty of rest, limit my intake of caffeine, have quiet time, and that quiet time for me, see, what I've had to do is take a lot of the principles that they went over with us in the hospital, and not that they excluded Christ from them, but I morph them to fit the life that we live. And they tell you, embrace your faith. That is one of the things that can be a key anchor in the life of somebody who is dealing with any kind of depression or anything like that. So, it is easy for me to read the Word, but I have to actually rest in the Word. Pastors have a tendency of turning their Bible into a textbook that you just preach from. Like that's that like a lawyer goes to his books for the law. That's what we have a tendency to view the Bible as. And so I have to really be intentional about the scriptures and things like that, and prayer. But I also have to practice healthy thought patterns, which is a biblical concept. I mean, take captive every thought, right? I mean, that's in scripture, of being aware of what I'm thinking. And part of the reason that things would get so bad, especially even in those first few months after, was I wasn't monitoring myself, and it's really easy to fall into like this negative loop and get stuck. So being aware of what I'm thinking and stuff like that, and practice the it's called thought stopping. Stop it. This what you're stuck in right now, it's not beneficial, it's not helpful, it's certainly not glorifying God, it's not, doing any of those things. So why am I doing it? And so I do things like I go for walks. We have a trail here in Noblesville that I really like. It walks along the river, and it's in the forest and stuff. It's really beautiful. Stuff like that. Listen to music or whatever. But I have to always be proactive, or else I can fall back into something that could be hazardous to myself. And I think the biggest thing that I wish people understood about things like depression is that there isn't necessarily a cure for it. There's treatment, and there's dealing with it, there's coping with it, but it's not like
You can't just pray it away.
No, you cannot just pray it away. If you can pray it away, it's not depression. It's something else, and that's not minimizing it. I'm just saying it's something else. But when you're dealing with something that, as far as I know medically, and I only know what I've read and what they talked with me about, is a lot of this stuff deals with chemical imbalances in the brain and in the body. And so maintaining a healthy balance in your body is incredibly important, and it takes work. And like I said, I don't always do great at that. I go through spells where I'm drinking tons of coffee and things like that, tons of caffeine because I've got a lot going on and I'm tired and stuff like that. But what I also find is that all that does is lead to a cycle of, okay, I had 10 cups of coffee today, and I get to 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm jittery and awake. I can't sleep, so I'm up till 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to sleep, get up at 9. I haven't had any. I haven't barely had any sleep. So what do? Put on a pot of coffee, right? Coffee isn't bad, but if you're drinking if I'm drinking 2 pots of it a day,
When you shouldn't be drinking caffeine.
Exactly. So just being mindful of what my thoughts are, and also what I'm putting into my body, and doing healthy practices, which that's what God would want for us, to take care of ourselves.
I think that stuff is extra important for pastors to make sure. I mean, it's important for anyone who has depression.
Yeah.
But for a pastor, because I've noticed that when we're being a team, we're being mindful about taking care of him and following the steps he needs to take to be healthy. We never know what a day looks like for him. We never know if a church member is going to be sick and in the hospital and he's going to have to go there, or anything else that could just, throw everything out of whack.
Literally pull anything out of a hat.
Yeah.
It could be that.
That when we're making sure he's taking care of himself, and when he's working hard to take care of himself, and that stuff happens, it can kind of just be a normal flow. Like, okay, I go and take care of this, and then I come home. But when he's not taking care of himself, if something like that happens, it can be a trigger for him, and it can cause more of a slide down.
Yep.
Which can last for a couple days or a week, or depending on how quick Craig wants to grab a hold of that. So is it important as this for everybody? I think for pastors dealing with depression, is being a partner to a pastor that has depression. It's extra important because pastors really never know. Or an accountant knows, like, their days are pretty much going to be, the same. With, of course, you never know really, but pastors, you really never know what your week's going to look like. So take care of yourself is really important.
Yeah. Yep.
How has this affected other relationships with close friends and family?
I have some close friends that aren't close friends anymore. I have some close friends that I've been able to talk to about it, and it hasn't really changed anything other than maybe they check in every once in a while to see how I'm doing, which is nice. Family, everybody, was there for us, and I've got some family members that I can relate to now because in the time after that they have experienced similar things, and so I've got some family that I'm able to talk to about it kind of in depth and stuff like that. Family wise, I guess it makes it easier. Maybe it makes it easier for them because I know if I'm having a bad day, it's just because I'm having a bad day. I don't know. But
As you can see, mental health is not something that you can just get over, especially if there's a chemical imbalance involved. But there are steps that you can take. And there are steps that we should take to maintain our physical life as well. But anyway, there are steps we can take to take care of ourselves and to keep ourselves out of the pit. So if you or a loved one is struggling with thoughts of depression and hopelessness, I encourage you to talk to someone. And maybe you've struggled with this in the past and you've been given some tools, some steps you can take to to help you along the way. I want to encourage you not to give up. Follow the steps. Take the steps necessary because your life matters and your well-being matters. Thank you.